Good evening, all of you. Good evening, attendees. It was wonderful to have with this wonderful session. I will today give you a kind of knowledge, information with respect to what is coming upcoming days of COVID-19 or pandemic situation. We already know that what is happening here. Everybody is struggling of the organization is struggling, people are struggling, aspirants are also struggling. So in this particular sessions, you can say these situations, we need to think about what kind of skill development we need to do, enhance our skills, so that and what kind of skills industry were required, which is going to be very important in pandemic situation, that what industry required and how do we bridge that gap by skill enhancement. So as a student, it is going to be very important because now the organizations have raised their expectations. Now they are looking forward something in the particular candidate in terms of skills, in terms of knowledge, information, and behavioral skills as well. So in that perspective, we are going to have this session, this webinar, JUT webinar session, in which we have called our esteemed panelists. One is Roshni Ramkumar, who is basically HR business partner in Intel, working in Intel, currently located in Bangalore. Second panelist, we have Vivek Chaturvedi, who is an head of talent acquisition in Adani Wilmar Limited. Third panelist is Mr. Shailendra Singh, who is a senior HR manager, basically working in Tata Projects. So these three esteemed panelists will guide us, inform us, give us the knowledge that what kind of skill required today, how do we bridge the gap, what is the requirement of expectations of the industry today, and how do we go further to prepare our recruitment drive in terms of off-campus as well as on-campus. So coming days are going to be very important, crucial from the skill point of view, from the industry point of view, and from everybody, because every situation, this situation is not being arised in at least my lifetime. So it is going one situation where we need to think innovatively, creatively to survive ourselves in terms of skills, in terms of getting the job, in terms of retaining in the job, and this is all going to be very, very difficult. So we need to cope up with this. So how do we cope up? I'm going to start a certain small introduction of my university, how we have overcome this kind of situation, and in this situation, what is the scenario of JUT Guna, and after that, what as basically the Forbes has listed the skills which is going to be enhanced, which is going to be required today by the aspirants. So I'm going to talk this kind of information, right? So let's start with a small presentation. Okay, so how do we build the career during this COVID-19? Basically, JP University of Engineering Technology, situated in Guna, sponsored by JP Group, a well-known JP Group, established in 29th April under the Madhya Pradesh Regulatory Act, approved by UGC, ASAT, of course, member of Association Indian University, and it has been ranked among the top 100 all over the India. Accredited by NAC by A grade, excellent infrastructure, highly qualified faculty we have. If we talk about the placements today, placement why I'm being highlighting here is basically we got the statistics in this COVID-19, in this corona, and how the students have cope up with their skills and how they got this package, they got this job. It is going to be very excellent. So the highest package we got till now is 41 lakhs per annum. Average package is 5.5. 23 lakhs is when we talk about top 5 packages, and top 10 packages 15.7 lakhs per annum. So this is what the small statistics, where the number of people, how many students have been admitted, and how they may have the placements. So the top, you can say, the organizations where the shop airfare is have given the 41. It is being Singapore based company. Amazon have given 28, One Direct, Google. These are the top 5 packages, you can call it as. How Infosys, Cognizant, in this all pandemic situation, before pandemic, you can say, has been used this got this kind of offers. When we talk about the skills, future skills, what will happen in the future? We don't know. Anybody, we can't predict the future. So we need to anticipate that what kind of industry required today in terms of the skill development, and how do we bridge this gap? How do we enhance them? So according to the Forbes, you can see, according to the Forbes, adaptability and flexibility is one of the important today skills being required, where the changing adaptively abruptly this is being changed. uh, the technology is being changing, and we need to be adaptive, we need to be flexible to cope up with this changing technology, right? We can't rigid to be have one technology, that I like this technology and I'm going to be stick with this. No, you can't do this. You have to get right on this technology, changing technologies, right? You need to be tech savvy, of course. Creativity and innovation is going to be very important in this situation. How this creativity and innovation is going to enhance, of course, the organization as well as your skills. So this is going to be very important, and everybody is looking for this. Data literacy, because everybody is coming on the online today. We are taking the webinars as compared to the physical classrooms. Everything is coming on digital platforms, and that data is going to be very huge. So we need to think about the data, we need to literate on the data. How do we analyze it? So data science, data analysis is going to be very important today, and it's going to be one of the skills, which is one of the job profiles which is coming in the future, which will come in the future. Critical thinking, of course, everybody is going to be engineer or the diploma students. You need to be a critical thinking, you have to analyze the things so that it will give you an edge. Digital, of course, coding, because of computer science, everybody should be versatile today to think about the digital and coding skills. And of course, the learning should be lifelong. So this is how JOT had been started with the student, and it has been changed altogether with giving you the confidence and you can say behavioral skills. So this is a small presentation from my side. Now I would like to give you a small brief of one of the panelists, Roshni Ramkumar, who is working as an HR partner in Intel, India. Roshni Ramkumar holds a master's degree in human resource management from Tata Institute of Social Science. She has been working in Intel by last 2 years. She has been associated with different groups, different domains like sales, marketing, finance, supply chain. She has been associated with the good organizations, the prestigious organizations like Godrej, Morappa Group, Colgate, and being engaged into the organization development, HR, human resource, recruitment, and legal, HR legal, all the time. So it's wonderful, and we welcome all panelists to join this webinar, and I'm being very, very highly thankful for them to give an kind of a session, this kind of a session, which of course benefit the students. So I would like to give now, yes, meanwhile, all the attendees are being requested to not to go with the chat. You have been highlighting a question and answer box at the right top. So you can give the questions on that, so that at the last we are going to answer them, right? Now I'm going to hand over to the Roshni Ramkumar to take the session. Yes, Roshni, over to you.
Thank you, Abhishek. Hello, good evening, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. And it's a great opportunity for me to kind of interact with present-day engineering students. It was not too long ago that I was a postgraduate student myself at the brink of an upcoming placement drive, I still remember final year being quite stressful with a lot of anxieties on placements. And in all transparency, my branch of TIS was facing various placement related challenges as well. At that point, the uncertainties at that time was very crippling. Now I can't imagine what you all might be going through as you are final years, especially in times of a global pandemic with an uncertain near-term end date. but I entirely empathize. These times are not easy on any of us, but especially not easy on a graduating or going to be graduating soon batch. There might be everyday news that we might be reading about how there are going to be more job losses, or there is raising unemployment, or there are pay cuts, right? While all of this might be happening around us in the short term, I think it's really important to really understand what is happening around us, like what are industries actually going through. Data can be scary, news reports can be scary, but data can also be empowering. If we understand and interpret it right, for all we know, it may actually help us to better equip ourselves well, equip ourselves to tackle this new future that's on the horizon. So what is happening? So as COVID-19, became a reality across geographies and countries went on lockdown, businesses were, forced to rush into a business continuity plan to ensure that all their employees had the necessary support and infrastructure to keep everyone productive, to ensure that projects or business goals were not compromised and everything had to be on track. Some businesses, were known to take conscious decisions to step back and reevaluate, what are the trends, what is the revenue potential in this new era, what is the market impact, and see if they needed to take, precautionary measures to ensure they can sustain through these turbulent times. It has become challenging for most businesses to keep their financial wheels turning during the lockdown period, and it has been especially difficult on startups and small businesses, as they have scarcer cash reserves and smaller margin for managing sudden slumps. Some industries, yes, have taken direct hits. We might be hearing about how the travel industry has been impacted, how aviation, hospitality, entertainment businesses, to an extent, oil and gas and construction as well. So technologies probably backing these industries might be taking a pause, or they might be relooking at their business models and seeing how some of these high-touch industries can increase safety and use of technology to ensure safe passages as well. Some examples is that, flights have definitely bounced back with a more seamless onboarding process using technology and apps. You have a very high-touch service like Urban Clap, which kind of went back and trained all its employees on how to do contactless servicing, right? So a lot of businesses really kind of went back and looked at how to remodel some of the things that they're doing. And it's not all doom and gloom out there, right? Several technology-backed businesses in online education, laboratory testing, logistics, data analytics, telecommuting softwares like Zoom, Skype, Google Meet, information technology, digital entertainment, public constructions, agriculture, health, and gaming, right? These are all kind of really faced tailwinds at this point of time, and they're actually growing in their scope of activities and their business. As increasingly they're realizing that they are essential to keep this population connected and thriving. In fact, they're one of the increasing number of companies in these industries that are actually going on hiring more and more week on week, month on month, because the demand is so high in these industries right now. So, coming to the ITES, SEMCON product sector that I'm most familiar with, companies like Google, Intel, Microsoft were well ahead of the curve in kind of enabling virtual internships and virtual onboarding for interns, as well as for full-time college graduates. This pandemic is probably when we need engineers the most, no matter which part of the sector we talk about. Some skills much needed right now from a technical standpoint, of course, is cloud and infrastructure kind of skills. With a huge work from home population, engineers are needed to help companies to scale up or down depending on the need of the hour, as more and more companies kind of transition into a hybrid working model, which is partly working from home, maybe a few days in office or none at all, right? So based on that, we really need real-time cloud and infrastructure support. Cyber security, there was a recent article where there was a potential ransom kind of asked basis Indiabulls personal data that got leaked, right? So cyber security has actually become more important than ever. We have employees kind of working in remote operating models. we kind of have them alternating between their work phone, their personal phone, from their work laptop, their personal laptop. So all the more reasons for companies and employers to have strong VPN and network devices. So cybersecurity was already a hot commodity in the market in terms of key skills, but right now it has almost become indispensable for most companies that are in the digital transformation phase. Some of the other skills, of course, are things like data science. For example, right now more than ever, we need data scientists to kind of model out, interpret data, especially when we're in pandemic times, like what is the impact, and be able to advise public sector or private sector companies to take the next source of or next step. And a lot of that is going to be data driven. We're going to need software developers who are front end, back end, and UI experts, because more and more we're seeing that platforms are actually created for end users directly, for employees and customers to use to ease their collaboration and their engagement. So to kind of have full stack developers who can understand the end user needs is really, really important. So while these companies are already going through digital transformation, and with COVID and with a virtual environment, there's a lot of change management that has to happen in these companies. And an important aspect of change management is to have like very strong program managers or project managers with a mix of both technical and soft skills that can actually help implement some of these rapid transformation that the businesses are going through. To kind of really sum up some of the final points that I want to make is that engineers are really going to be taking us to the next steps in this uncertain future. They are kind of the future. Tech folks are at the forefront of this change, right? They are innovating, they are building new solutions for a changed world, be it in healthcare, be it in the way that we do business, be it in the way that we support and engage employees. The future is multidisciplinary. And what I mean by that is that the problems of the future cannot be solved by just deep domain expertise in just one technical domain, right? And that is needed. That is definitely needed. It's absolutely important for us to have depth in our domain or our foundational technical talent. But take an example of a drug development, right? Which is the need of the hour right now, or a vaccine development. There needs to be biologists on this team. There needs to be AI-based data modeling teams. There needs to be computing. There needs to be control experiments. There needs to be chemists. There needs to be mechanical engineers. And we probably need doctors and ethicists on this board as well. So a solution now in this new world is really interdisciplinary. So it's not enough to have just depth in one domain. And that's my personal insight into this, that it is a basic requirement, but depth in one domain is necessary, but an ability to understand other dimensions or other disciplines to really understand end users and to build solutions that can help tackle the new age problems that we're facing is really important, which kind of brings me to the final insight, that is that as engineers, we are at the forefront of making this change, and we need to be multidisciplinary, but in the midst of all the tech, we also need to be remembering to be human, right? So that's where I think great point made by Abhishek sir, that Forbes talked about what are the future skills, and especially in a virtual world, where I've seen in my personal experience interns and college graduates kind of getting onboarded virtually. They're doing entire projects virtually. Some of the key skills that has really helped them ramp is communication, clarity in communication, being able to constructively have conversations with their peers, being able to collaborate and drive collaboration in teams and move together on goals. There is no longer a one-man army at the workplace. Maybe it existed before, but it definitely does not exist right now. It is always team efforts and team goals. And while the onboarding and work is going to be virtual, all the more reason to kind of stay high on energy, stay connected with the team, and be collaborative, and be able to actually build those workplace relationships that help you get your work done, right? So I just want to kind of leave you all with that. There are some new age learning content modules that have been kind of introduced by LinkedIn and Microsoft for technical skills. as well as LinkedIn and Accenture for some of the soft skills as well. And some of these are free as well. So if any of you want to take a stab at it, have a look at, what are some of the skills that we talked about here. You can go ahead and start building on them. And keep in mind that the future is multidisciplinary. So it's always good to have a breadth of knowledge while we go deep as well. So thank you, Abhishek. I'd like to kind of hand it over to the next panelist.
Yeah, Roshni, thank you for this wonderful session. I would like to thank you for this wonderful, excellent skills you have demonstrated, that what kind of skills are required, what are the future industry expectations, and how we can prepare them. Roshni, can you please give us a small kind of a answer on certain questions has been asked regarding a kind of an interview, like Krishna Agrawal have asked, if a company decide to take the interview in a complete digital fashion, how should we prepare for such interviews? So can we give some kind of preparation? How do they prepare for this?
So one is to actually be comfortable with digital tools and be comfortable in the digital medium, right? So I think what we need to understand is that the skills that you're going to be tested for, at least from a functional technical standpoint, they are not going to change, right? It will still be the same. We might be asking students to either write on a piece of paper or have a whiteboard ready behind them to actually help out and see how they do the data modeling or the logic design of the problem statement presented, right? So I don't think that the kind of questions that are going to come in interviews are going to change. But a lot of us might be prepping for interviews in the past in terms of the way we come across in body language, the way we come across in tone. I would say in the virtual space, I would say that the way that you're able to communicate your thoughts in a concise and precise manner, and be able to explain the logic behind your approach to certain things. And while managers test you on your problem solving skills, and as they test you on your fundamental technical knowledge, they will also be looking at how exactly are you approaching the problem, and how are you kind of defending it, or how are you kind of taking a step back. And if, for example, a manager wants to give you feedback and say, hey, what about this kind of problem statement, they'll actually kind of see whether you're taking the input real time and able to convert that input or feedback and immediately turn it into a solution, right? So those are some of the things that were already being tested on regular interviews. Now, it might be difficult in virtual. So I think what will really help is to just build our own confidence, to get really familiar with the virtual platform itself. Maybe have some practice round sessions, take feedback from your peers as to how you come across on video call. What is the tone? How are you managing yourself while you speak on a virtual platform? So that's what I had. And also just a small caveat here. So I'm not an engineer myself. So if you have any technical questions for me, I probably wouldn't be able to answer. My expertise is really from a HR standpoint. So yeah, just wanted to call that out.
Okay, thank you, Roshni. It was wonderful. Now I would like to welcome Mr. Vivek Chaturvedi, who is an head of talent acquisition working in Adani Wilmar Limited. So the guys who are being asking for mechanical, metallurgy, core related branches and their questions, they can ask. We will, at the end of the session of Vivek Chaturvedi, we will ask them regarding this mechanical and metallurgy kind of questions which has been asked. So I would like to welcome Vivek Chaturvedi ji for taking up the session. Yes, Vivek Chaturvedi, over to you.
Yeah, hi Abhishek. Hope I'm
hi.
Hello.
Yeah. You are being audible, sir. Hello, you are being audible, sir.
Yeah. Thanks, Abhishek. Thanks for the opportunity opportunity to interact with, I see there are around 333 participants in this webinar. So addressing a large population and helping them understand what is the scenario, outside in the industry and the market, as well as connecting with them to understand again what is there in their mind. I think it's good opportunity for me also to learn certain things. So I'm not as good as as an orator. I'm not as good as probably Roshni is, and she has already covered almost all the areas of. So I'll just second her in her thought process, and I would just give you a snapshot about how do I think in this specific the situation which is going. There in the market, which is because of this COVID-19 thing. But prior to that, I'm also not that old age community coming from. Around 12 years back, I had started my corporate journey, and I can vaguely and still remember the butterflies in the stomach while some companies were coming for campus hiring, and were not sure which company to sit for, where to go. Situations were not that extreme the way it is now being considered, but still, the similar kind of goosebumps, similar kind of stomach upset, and all those butterflies and all those jargons were there. I can very well relate with all those people who are there listening to us, and would want to be seeing the future and the career of theirs with any of these corporate houses who are there in the industry. So I would relate, but one thing to start with as a note, Abhishek and team, I don't see any specific challenges, any specific issues which are being considered by people in HR and in the industry. I see this as a pause button, and probably while you run faster, you want to run faster, you want to go at a high speed. Maybe you need to take a pause, think again, make your strategy, and then you run faster than ever. This situation in this time is something which gives us opportunity to think and decide in which direction we want to go as individual, as organization, as probably nation as well. So I don't see they're gonna be change in the jobs available in the market. But if you think that it's gonna be stopping, the recruitment not gonna be happening, positions will not be there in the market, I defer to say no. This is not gonna happen at all. People who are skilled, people who really want to work hard, they want to contribute to the organization, to the society, they'll have ample opportunities in the market. Yes, maybe 3 months down the line, maybe 6 months down the line, it's something which is in question because of the uncertainty which is there in the market. It's just uncertainty, nothing else. I'm sure the manufacturing sector in India nowadays, and then say 3 months down the line, will boom like anything. Very specific to FMCG segment of India, the food segment of India gonna be taking a jump like anything in coming days of time. So as Roshni said, and Abhishek, you also mentioned that there are gonna be shift and change in the nature of the job opportunities available in the market, but they're not gonna be halt of any of these positions or the market availabilities. So if you look at the situation, some jobs may vanish, which are like generalized kind of job opportunities, but at the time, some skilled job which are more related to IT, more related to the core technical areas, R&D specific, quality specific is something where they're going to be seeing a kind of surge in demand. You need to be prepared for all those kind of opportunities. Those are very technical in nature, and being an engineering background guy, I'm sure all those skills are there with you. Just need to sharpen the tool. So that's my purview about how this industry and organization, this industry or country as in India will be moving in which direction is something which is I consider as of now. Apart, if you look at the sector wise, specifically manufacturing, IT, there are a couple of movement gonna be happening, and for that, people like you, people like coming from the campuses should not be worried at all about it. The only thing is how should we prepare about the coming opportunities is something you can always say within the organization, within the colleges, you can just think about how to move and in which direction to move. One second.
Hello. Thank you, Vivek. It was wonderful to have this session. Rest, now I will take up the question has been asked. In between, the Shailen Singh is going to join, who is a senior HR manager of Tata Project. Meanwhile, he's in meeting right now, so he's not able to attend. So in between, I'm going to take up the certain questions which has been asked, like Riddhi Bharadwaj has been asked that training and placement, she's an training placement officer of Anand International College of Engineering. She has asked that how much percentage hiring in IT giant will be shaken from the COVID-19 pandemic. Riddhi, it's basically, it has been rightly mentioned by the Roshni and our panelists like Vivek Chaturvedi ji, that in all of the sectors, not in the IT sector, in all of the sectors, there are certain jobs is going to be curtailed. They are going to be now more specific because everybody is going to be struggle in terms of revenue generation. So they are going to cut down the things which is not been usual before pandemic or COVID-19. So there are something which is going to change. Like Infosys is basically hiring 100 people from a college. Now they are going to be choosy, they are going to be selective, and they are maybe hiring 50, 60 according to the quality of the manpower they have. So it's all depend of how this all being managed by the IT giant.
Hey Abhishek, I'm sorry. I mean, some internet connectivity was there. So, hello.
Vivek.
Yeah, I got disconnected because of some internet issue at home.
Sure. Now you can take up, sir. Yeah.
Sorry guys.
Yeah.
It was, again, I mean, you too much depend on one aspect of life, then something happens and then you are like in nowhere situation. So, okay, coming back to the agenda of this, for today's discussion. So I'll quickly take one example of our organization itself, Adani Wilmar, considered to be a very traditional and orthodox organization in the approach of work. While this complete situation of COVID-19 arises, this complete organization shifted from an orthodox and a traditional company to a tech-savvy and high-tech organization. Believe me, for last 3 months, people were sitting at home, working from home and managing complete business, and the revenue numbers were intact as per the number and the volume of the business is concerned. All the manufacturing locations were running uptight, the reviews were happening from the corporate office, all business related activities and sales, marketing, operations, everything was intact, nothing. So the idea is, you need to be very swift in terms of moving from one to the other direction, looking at the opportunities in the market. While across India, most of the companies were not doing good, Adani Wilmar could manage to have their numbers in place because we could shift from one direction to the another direction, which was more IT savvy. While the expectation from the organization was not as such. However, if there's a need, and if you see the market opportunities and the position availabilities in the market, you should be shifting your caliber and your skills in that particular direction so that you can achieve a milestone in place. So that's what I would also say. I mean, there's no worry about having the opportunities in the market. They are ample. It's a simple pause button as of now, and you need to move in a different segment, different direction altogether to to match this skill gap which is there, from non-IT to IT, or maybe from non-functional to functional. the only demand which gonna be in the market for newcomers will be in IT and technical segments, be it FMCG, R&D, supply chain, or sorry, life sciences kind of business altogether. So that's what I think. No problem at all in terms of opportunities. So, I mean, I'll take a pause here in our discussion today. Any questions, if so far anyone has, I can probably try and answer those. One. Abhishek?
Hi, Abhishek. Yeah. Yeah, hello. Yeah, Vivek.
Yeah, so we can rest here and then take
Yes,
questions
sir.
if anyone.
Okay, no issues. So thank you, Vivek, for such a wonderful knowledge you have given, information you have given regarding the how the manufacturing industry is looking up with this COVID-19 and how the student can prepare for upcoming recruitments. In between, I'm sorry to say that Shailin Singh is not being available, who is from the Tata projects, who is going to tell us for the real estate and construction division. So because of he is in the meeting, so he can't be joining. But it's in the meanwhile, we are going to take up the questions who is being asked. Knowledge we have. I would like to request Vivek Chaturvedi ji also. So please give us certain answers which is being required by the our partner attendees. Like for an example, people have asked, especially for the manufacturing, that what kind of skills they are going to look up manufacturing industries for the upcoming recruitment drives.
Yeah, see, apart from the normal routine operational work wherein we need people coming from, say, mechanical, electrical, and chemical engineering background, I see a good amount of surge in the production engineers as well who can work, on B and Six Sigma kind of projects. So there are only 2-3 ways of, increasing the revenue of the company. So either you increase the manpower or increase the productivity. Currently, for 5 months or maybe 6 months, the productivity, increasing the productivity by increasing the manpower probably will be in question. Wherein you can always increase the productivity by having the subtle process in place, the B and Six Sigma processes in place. I mean, some processes which can be, altered and make more cost saved situation, or something which can save some amount of time is will be in a situation. So I would say a production, electrical, chemical, and mechanical will be in surge demand. Demand will be in surge for all those category of engineers.
Thank you, Vivek. Thank you. Certain other questions also being there, like I will see. Like for an example, why does our share market are going up while the economy is planning to go in the recession with job losses? How does this relate with the technical jobs? Naman Vadhwa has asked this question. So how, like for an example, the economy, the share market is being going up direction, having a upward trend, and people are saying that the recession is going to come in terms of manufacturing or in terms of other domain of economy. So how can we justify in terms of technical skills or technical jobs?
Yeah, that's how I say, Abhishek. I mean, I defer to say that there are gonna be any say issue with terms of opportunities or recruitments in place, because this is a very small pause button which is there. Otherwise, there will be a demand of talented people coming in the coming time. Especially, I'm talking about the engineers here, and most of the people who are at the ownership level within the organization, they probably understand this. I can think about any of the manufacturing segment, pharma, any food segment, IT segment for that matter. I don't see any issue with reference to opportunities available for all those companies, and business is also intact for them. It's just the mode of working with these companies probably will be changing. Not probably, I mean for sure, the mode and the way they work will be changing a lot. Apart, not revenue is not gonna be hit on hit, numbers not gonna be in it. It's just a simple 3 to 4 months of time where people need to wait and watch for some, for changes to happen, and then again there are gonna be a lot of opportunities in the market for all the engineers and management graduates. So don't take it otherwise. I mean, it's just a time factor which is working as of now. Some of the people are probably taking advantage also from the COVID-19 situation. Otherwise, I have not seen much of the market going down with reference to either. You rightly said. I mean, stocks. I mean, share market for that matter. Nothing is going down. It's all up and running.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I think I just want to chime in there, right? That usually when investors look at market, they look at short term, they also look at long term. So they know that this might be extending for the next 6 to 8 months, but they would still probably invest in companies that they feel have a potential in the future. And in fact, that's a great indicator. So if you see stocks of like e-retail or healthcare technology, or agro technology companies kind of going up, or pharma companies kind of going up in stock prices, it's probably because the investors actually feel that in the new world, these are the companies that are going to have a good future, and they're kind of betting on these companies to grow further. So it might kind of indicate, of course, stock market being stock market, it always fluctuates, and it's very sensitive to sentiments, and they are very sensitive to real time issues that are geo or political. But having said that, they are good indicators to understand what are the industries that are getting focused on, where people believe there is growth in the future. And as engineers, you can actually target to see what are these companies in the business of doing, why are they growing the way that they're growing, and see how you can match your skill sets to what that company is doing from a value addition standpoint.
Yeah, and just to add one more point, I mean, if you look at any of these IT-enabled unicorn organizations, most of the money is coming and flowing to all those companies, because people, I mean, who are at the giving end, they understand the value of those companies and the opportunities which is available with them. So that is how the share market is also moving with the sentiments.
Actually, if I may add to that, there's one thing like coming from retail and both private equity domains. The one thing that the recent stock prices have
Bhumik,
been.
1 minute. I would like to introduce you, attendees. We want to welcome Bhumik Sharma. He is one of the alumni who is working in as a data scientist manager in Wipro currently, and he's being one of the asset in the last session, webinar session. Also, he has taken up the same thing, that how Wipro is looking forward and how the people are going to look for the IT industry basically. So yes, we welcome Bhumik again, and please can you give us certain enlightenment on the new attendees, that how this IT industry expect in terms of multidisciplinary or in terms of skill development, and how the student can prepare for upcoming recruitments. Yes, Bhumik, over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. So just continuing the last part. So the reason that the stock prices that you're saying that the stock prices might be going up in the market is because of a lot of transformation that's also happening. So the investors are not simply running after the level of how the manufacturing and the other industries are going, but also because of the change in the consumer trends that you're witnessing. So I guess that's more of a macroeconomic point of view, and jobs and the career perspectives as we would look out is more of a microeconomic point of view. So that's kind of the reason that you might see the stock prices going up. And I just saw a question about what kind of things that you would be seeing in jobs in 2021. If I say it correctly, I guess it was by last career Rekha Bai. Now I would reiterate something that I shared in the last webinar. So even my experience of both, like in the last year when I was job hunting and this year when I'm taking interviews, the one of the most important factors becomes that your interaction is going to be limited to only online interviews and phone discussions or video calls. So I guess your communication becomes something that is of paramount importance, that you're able to convey something as crisply as you would in person, what you will have to do in a video call. So we should understand that the soft skills are something which would play an even more important part from now on, as much as they used to do before, because the competition is going to get higher, and the better you're able to communicate something, especially in the kind of jobs that would require working from home and working remotely, which is of course something that's going to go up in the trend. That's something we should be focusing on. So mastering the soft skills becomes both a challenge and something that uh, is something that's of imperative importance at this point.
I think there's one question here, Abhishek from
Yeah,
Vishweshwaran.
yeah.
It was on the multidisciplinary approach that I talked about. So
Mhm.
I'll just take that question. So, um, I do come from a multidisciplinary background myself. So my bachelor's was actually a multidisciplinary course. So I have background in economics, political science, psychology, and sociology, and gender and environment, right? So, educational institutes also of the future, and I'm this is again a personal opinion, and no way trying to tell Mr. Shukla how he should probably advise JP University going forward. But it is entirely, organizations and educational institutes are kind of going ahead into an elective model. They are kind of giving 1 credit, 2 credit courses to students to kind of take up as an elective to kind of build that multidisciplinary or that breadth of knowledge, right? So master of one trade, but definitely need to be jack of many as well. So this is very common in the US and European universities, where you see that you will have an engineer who will also have an elective in business management, or they will have an elective on HR. It's very common to have very contradicting electives, but it's something that they kind of plan from a time being, saying that this is the kind of industry I want to go in, here's the kind of knowledge that I'll have to go in. So they decide that here's where I need my depth, here's where I need my breadth, and they go and do elective courses. And it's a very flexible kind of education system there as well. And you can pick and drop classes, you can try a few classes, see if it's interesting, and then drop it if you feel like it's not adding value to you, right? So being able to provide a safe space for students to kind of experiment with the kind of electives they take will be definitely important. And this just comes from my experience with TIS as well, and the kind of electives. And it has greatly helped in my HR role as well. Like, for example, if I'm leading any kind of program on, say, mental well-being or diversity and inclusiveness, right? It's not
Yeah.
just about having deep HR functional knowledge, but my background in psychology, my background in sociology, understanding what are the different vulnerable groups in society, that really helps me become a better HR professional. So from a HR standpoint, I'm able to give a real life example, but I leave it to the engineering panelists to kind of add value as to how they can be multidisciplinary as an engineer as well.
No,
Yes,
I would
I
actually
totally,
agree to
yes,
you.
yes,
Yeah,
I totally agree with Roshni. Roshni, I would like to tell you, yes, of course, JP University are going to provide this 1 credit, 2 credit elective courses to the student can work on their multidisciplinary things as per their interest. I will give you an example, like Bhumik Sharma is one of the alumni who is being a bachelor's from mechanical engineering. Now he's working in Wipro as an IT in a data science. So I think that yes, of course, the multidisciplinary is one of the important aspects today, because creativity, innovation always comes through different sort of knowledge what you have. As before I have joined JP, I have been working in Reliance as a recruiter. And I know that being a bachelor, I have also done the engineering, and today I'm currently working as an assistant professor in humanities. Before that, I have been working as a journalist, HR, and recruiter. So all these profiles have been added into the knowledge and information anywhere in the life, and it will give you a certain aspects and edge over the others candidate. So, of course, I will be thoroughly, completely agree with this point, Roshni. Yes, Bhumik, you want to add something? Yes.
Yeah, so there was just one thing that I would like to add to that. It's just that we shouldn't be looking towards US and idealizing ourselves towards that model, because both the economic and the job culture in US is far different from what we have in India. So it's important to be multidisciplinary, as Madam rightly said. But at the same time, I guess we have to find our own means of doing that rather than going through a different, because when we look at the credit system and the university culture over there, it is far more diverse as how we have it in our country at the same time. So there's just one question that I would take, and I kind of will have to hop out after that. The question was, I guess, directed towards me, because the question is that what kind of qualities are looked for in the data scientist? Just to quickly wrap that question up, see, the first thing is data science is a completely new field. It is not very well explored at this point of time. And secondly, the formal education towards data science doesn't really exist a lot in a lot of places. So the most that you can do is you can pick up the basics from database and database management and other areas. Python and SQL are two languages which kind of help you be equipped to solve problems with respect to data. But at the end of it, all that is there in data science basically comes out of statistics and advanced mathematics. So those are the key areas that you have to focus if you're looking to invest your time towards data science. Although starting off a job in data science can be confusing, because over here a lot of areas are confused with being a part of data science. For example, data analytics is just a flavor of data science. It's not data science in itself. Similarly, data entry and database warehousing and management is also something which is related to data, but it's not data science. Right, but most of the jobs that exist in India somewhere revolve around these three classifications. So if you're looking towards that, then yes, of course, it's good to have a broader set of knowledge. But then again, you have to really look which industry are you targeting for your data analytics, and what kind of things are you doing? Because financial and non-financial analytics are completely different fields. They can vary from one place to another, and also from one firm to another.
Hey, Bhumik, Vivek, you this said, I would also have a small question. I mean, there has been a lot of talk about the big data thing. So this big data and data science both are relating to each other or something different? Because I think data science is more of a science of managing data, and big data should be the analytics of similar data, which is in a big size now.
So if I have to answer that, I would say that data science is still a term whose definition is still emerging, right? So we were kind of trying to add different buckets into data science nowadays. For example, we're solving different types of problems because so far big data means that a lot of data exists, but the point is that how are you going to use it is something which is up to your own creativity. And then again, there are several problems which exist with respect to data. That is again something that you can solve through various means possible. So I guess data science is an umbrella term for a lot of things, but at the same time, it doesn't really belongs into one specific region. And when we talk about big data, then again, big data also comes, big data basically means a lot of data. That's as simple definition of big data can be. But then again, with the kind of databases and technologies which go behind big data are diverse at this point of time.
Yeah.
And which are upgrading every day. So you have to really you have to just be open to change. You have to just not be someone who wouldn't adapt to the next update that comes up.
Hmm. Yeah, well said.
Bhumik, one question,
yes.
Bhumik, but this is what with the last one. This will be the last one.
Yes,
Priyank Chaudhary has been very panic about because he is from the mechanical and is telling that how you can learn IT skills as your core field was mechanical. I am also from mechanical and worried about my future, as many people are giving negative reviews about the mechanical future. And also I am pursuing my mechanical from private college. So how they are going to cope up with this situation in terms of again IT skills from the background of mechanical. Also you have faced the same problem, challenge, maybe you can say. So can you please give certain
Uh, I
knowledge
would just
about this?
first of all, I would just first of all say that don't stereotype yourself with your branch first, right? Your branch is not your career. Your branch is not your life. It's just a degree that you have. There are so many other things that you can do. The reason that I chose to do mechanical engineering was to become a combat pilot. It had there was no second ambition attached to my reason for doing mechanical engineering. But I chose to not go ahead with Air Force even after clearing PABT because of several personal reasons. But that still doesn't stop you, because there are so many things that you can do outside. When you take my example, just to be clear, I don't have any IT skills. I was just someone who was curious about asking questions. And I ended up asking questions in the field of data, which just kept taking me forward. And as I just said 2 minutes ago, you just have to be flexible towards adapting to new things which come along. Because even if you look into everything that you've been taught during your course, when you look outside in the world, those technologies do not even exist anymore. So you don't have to be so attached and so dependent on your degree education that is going to drive you forward. The education that's going to drive your career happens every single day. It doesn't happen while you're in college, or it doesn't happen in your initial years of your career. It happens every single day when you go out to work. So I would just say that don't be afraid. There will be opportunities which will come along, and it doesn't matter which college you come from. Or the only thing that matters is how hard you're going to work it out. The one thing that our society stereotypes too much is talent. Let me just assure you, talent means nothing. It's the effort that counts in your career. It's the effort which is going to build out your career, not the talent that anyone has. If you even if you look around most of your college peers, most of the talented people wouldn't really make out anything. It's the ones who worked hard and put in the effort are the ones who will do something.
Yeah, and just kind of second everything that Bhumik just said, and just to add on, right, that being adaptable and just kind of grabbing at opportunities that are interesting to you at any point in time. Don't shut doors. Don't say, this is not my expertise or this is not my area. If it's something that's interesting and you feel like you could do well in it, just grab at it, because any kind of experience, and I can tell you, is just going to help you grow and add more to your CV as well. So so I've been kind of doing internships from the time that I was 16. So I never said no to an internship, and it has always kind of helped me kind of grow some very real workplace competencies that can later help you when you finally get that permanent job. So yeah, kind of want to reiterate that don't restrict yourself, don't say no to opportunities, pick up
Yeah,
whatever
and
feels interesting at that point and give
just
it your
one last
full.
thing
Yeah.
before I hop out. Like I didn't really get anything served on the plate. It took me 1 year to actually find a permanent job after I graduated. So just have that patience. I worked through multiple internships and then entered into this thing. So it's okay. It's okay to struggle. Even if there's a lot of struggle in the first 1 year or 2 years, it's completely fine. Just go through it. It's just going to turn you into a better and more strong person. So if there is anything else, like you guys can reach out to me. I guess Abhishek, so you can share my email ID. I'll have to hop out. I just have another meeting lined up. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Bhumik. Yes, you have,
Thank you,
and
sir.
Roshni have rightly said that yes, of course, you need to grab yourself. You are not to be worried about from where you are going to take the degree, what kind of skills whatever with the interest you have. Because I have seen from the recruitment point till today, where I'm seeing the students have been working very good in the abroad as well as in India. They have all ended up with their one interest. So find out one interest where you can work hard, where you can devote much your time, and you can do wonders in that particular one interest. I don't say it as a skill, because the skills are going to be, when you are going to work on that interest, it will convert into skills. So yes, of course, you have to find out the interest. So don't worry about this. Of course, there is a pause. One of the student have said, asked this, that
Let me,
Vivek sir
Abhishek
said,
sir, let me
yeah,
share something of my own story, and that
yeah,
probably may give some boost to the motivation of people. See,
sure.
by education, I'm a chemical engineer. So I spent around 4 years doing this particular degree, and I can tell you today, I mean, if I were to be an engineer, I could be a bad engineer. Did my master's right after my BTech chemical engineering. That was into oil and gas management. So I did one of the masters, which is very rare in India, which is not very subject specific. So the degree is MBA oil and gas, and this is a general management program. So this is not into HR, not finance, not operations, not marketing. This was general management program into oil and gas management. And then as of now, I'm working in a function which is HR, and I'm very happy. So the idea is, I mean, do not restrict yourself with respect to your education background. Just grab the opportunities which are there, and make yourself comfortable by having expertise in that particular area of work. So opportunities would come, and they should come for sure. Don't worry about all those things. You just need to pick up a right opportunity at right time and just move forward to it. I mean, as of now, I'm heading talent acquisition for a company which is 36,000 crore, gives revenue. And I'm extremely happy with my role, my profile, and all my career. Uh, would have been an engineer, a very, very, very bad engineer, I mean, so far. So that's something which I can share. Do not demotivate. Don't worry about your careers a lot. Just go with the flow and just wait for some more time, and things will be very positive soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you for such words, sir. Of course, I am also agree with this, that don't to restrict yourself in terms of what to should do, what kind of skills the industry want, and I should grab that in that particular skills. No, you have to identify the interest, and according to one of the student have asked, one of the attendees have asked that internship is not there, or virtual internship, how they can go. There are a lot many internships are there. I have seen that recently from the mechanical, Caterpillar have asked for the recruitment. Microsoft is looking for the research interns. So lot many internships are there. You need to think about what kind of interest and what kind of work you can do, and there is a lot many opportunities you guys have. And think about what kind of, how you are going to live your life, and according to that you can do wonders, I'm telling you. So this is my personal experience, and struggle is always be good, because who are going to struggle hard, they are going to be a big success, they are going to get the big success always. This is keep in mind. So don't afraid of this struggle is always be there, and it is always be good for the success. I think and I believe this. So anyone, any panelists who want to take any other questions? Otherwise, we are going to end up this wonderful webinar session, and it's going to be very, very informational and knowledgeful session till now. So anyone who want to take up any questions, panelists?
See, I see some question from Dr. Shikha Agrawal about what companies we should target for placement this year, being a director, TNP Cell, RG, Bhopal. So,
Yes.
Dr. Agrawal, I may not have the exact answer to the question which you raised or asked, but I can tell you, see, big organizations like ITC or so any huge organization, there will be little less recruitment happening for them. However, you can always target organizations which are in the mid size of their business. So someone who is like in a growing stage, going from say 500 CR to 1000 CR kind of revenue stage, or whose EBITDA and PATs are not very high as of now, you can target all those companies, and very specifically look for IT organization as well as IT enabled unicorn kind of company. Say all those iBibo, or say for example any these Swiggy kind of company, they're gonna be hiring big terms. Urban Clap is another company who gonna be expanding a lot these days. So all those companies you can target for the next session of the campus.
Great. Thank you, Vivek sir. So we'll like to end up this session, webinar session. Likely we will have another session on the maybe the same topic as per the feedback we will get. So thank you all the attendees, all the panelists. We appreciate your efforts and your time you have given for this wonderful and motivating session. And I think that people, the attendees, the students, of course, basically are going to be motivated from your words, and it's going to be an excellent platform where the people from industry are going to be interact directly to the students and give a live examples like Vivek sir and Roshni madam and Bhumik, of course, he has also given certain examples. So to motivate people and motivate students. So thank you very much. Thank you all. Thank you attendees to attend this session, and grab yourself, hold yourself, have a patience, and give all your efforts what you have in one of the interests, one of the skills to develop. Thank you all.